Welcome to week 1 of this challenge. We are super excited to get started in the first week of teaching. We're going to be covering, first and foremost, the consonant sounds in English. This might get a little bit technical in terms of my explanation, so relax, get a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea, sit back and relax. We are going to get stuck into these consonant sounds in English. I'm going to give you a very detailed description of how to use your articulators, how to use your mouth, and we're going to discover exactly how you can use the consonant sounds in English in this lesson. Understanding these IPA consonant sounds will be essential for giving you clear pronunciation and fixing any accent issues that you might be having. So this might get a little bit technical, as I warned, but get concentrated because this is extremely important. And as I said, your mouth and understanding how to use it is not only useful for learning English, you can learn any other language once you understand exactly how to use the instrument that is your mouth to create sound. It's an extremely useful investment of your time. Let's get started. The IPA consonant chart categorizes sounds based on place and manner of articulation. Let's break down these concepts simply and go through them easily. So we have the place of articulation. This means exactly where does the sound come from. We have a range of places where the sound can begin. For example, bilabial. Bi just means two. Labial is another word for lip. So bilabial would be the P sound, the bilabial. P. The sound is coming from my lips touching together. We also have labiodental, which is the lips and the teeth interacting. Dental, the tongue is interacting with the teeth. Alveolar, which is the tongue touching the ridge, which I explained to you in the last video. Post-alveolar, which means that the tongue is touching just behind the alveolar ridge. Palatal, which means that the tongue is touching the palate. Velar, which means it's touching the soft palate. And glottal, which is using the sounds of the vocal cords to create the sound. So these are our places of possible articulation. These are the places of articulation, literally just meaning somewhere in your mouth is where the sound is coming from. Which part of the mouth is it coming from? Simple, right? Good, stick with me. Now we move on to the next section, the manner of articulation. This is the way that the sound is produced. So we had the place and now we're going to have the way. Very simple, right? Don't get confused by the big words. Just try to focus on the simple fact that you're going to do something and where are you going to do it, right? Simple. Don't be confused by the big words. We have plosives. Plosive means stops. That means we're going to block the airflow. This is what we call a bilabial plosive, the P sound. Why? Because when I make the P sound, I have to close my mouth, my lips are tight shut, the air begins to flow and is being built up with pressure, and then finally I release my lips, and that's what creates the sound. We have fricatives. Fricatives are partially blocking and actually causing friction, and that's what creates the sound. Affricatives, which is basically a combination of the first two, of stopping and causing friction, and these are causing the sound. Nasals, when the air is flowing through the nose, causing the sound. Liquids, which is a cool word, for smooth flowing sounds. And glides, gliding movement from one position to another. The sound is moving across positions. So let's get stuck into the plosive sound. I already mentioned the P, and you're going to find some others right here. So let's begin with the P sound. So before we begin, I have to explain the concept of voiced and voiceless, okay? This is extremely important in this training. And what you're going to understand is the difference between when we turn on and turn off the vocal cords. Try to make with me a sound. You can hear this humming, right? This buzzing sound. This is actually what we call a voiced sound. So that means that the vocal cords are engaged and they are active. They're creating a vibration. That's a voiced sound. And a voiceless sound is like the S is a voiceless sound. There's no vibration coming from the chest and the throat area, which is not creating any kind of buzzing sound. So some sounds can be voiced and voiceless. So pay attention. And we also need to know which ones are voiced or voiceless. But I'm going to explain all that to you, but key concept to understand is the voiced and the voiceless. So please pay attention to that and make sure you remember this concept.